Hello, everyone, and welcome to the quarterfinals here of the Indianapolis Open weekend. Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan, we are in the booth. Nick Miller's down in the feature match area as we prepare to watch Dan Musser, number 1 overall seed with Strause, against Garrett Strause, number 8 overall seed, playing Grixis Delver. Musser will have the option to play or draw all the way through the top 8, and thus far, Patrick, it's been his tournament.
Yes, very dominant performance. And I think one of the few losses he had in this tournament was in the mirror match. So very good weekend for Strause.
It's a forest and a noble hierarch here for Musser. For Strause, he's got a Dark Slick Shores, and he'll play a copy of Serum Visions. Draw a card is where he'll start his top 8. And now he'll scry 2. Looks like he's going to push both to the bottom very quickly, and now we head back Musser's way. Musser's picked up a copy of Ancient Stirrings for the turn. And we'll see how Dan wants to follow up. It looked like it's going to be a brush land here. And now the follow-up is an Eldrazi Displacer. Very powerful card in the deck in general, and can be pretty good in this matchup to help his creatures avoid removal.
Takes a while to get there, but the opportunity cost is really low on this threat. You know, it's a 3/3 head of schedule. So even if it just trades with a removal spell, that's not the worst thing in the world for Musser, and the ceiling on the card is quite a bit higher than that.
A Scalding Tarn here from Strause, and he'll simply pass the turn back over to Musser. We'll see how Musser wants to move forward on his third turn of the game. It's an attack here for 4. And now Windswept Teeth. The follow-up is Ancient Stirrings. That is going to resolve. Musser's done a nice job of playing around Mana Leak. Top 5 cards, Eldrazi's Sky Spawner among them. Looks like that's his best selection, so he'll take the 2/1 flyer. That will attempt to bring a Scion along with it, though we'll see if it's on this turn or not. Musser does have a copy of Cavernous Souls in hand, and he might just want to wait.
Yeah, with a Cavern in hand, I'm not really looking to play into a Mana Leak. It'd be one thing if he didn't have the Cavern, and maybe you just have to get the Mana Leak out of the way. Maybe you have a lot of expensive cards in your hand. But with Cavern, just wait the turn.
Strause going to search up a Steam Vents.
And I spoke a little bit about part of the reason I think this matchup is challenging for Strause is his reactive cards don't always line up the right way. You know, you have Fatal Pushes and Lightning Bolts, and a lot of Musser's threats are outside the range of that. Cavern of Souls trumping Mana Leak is part of that too, and Strause has to pick a turn to commit to leave the Mana Leak up before he even knows if the Cavern's there.
This is a Delver of Secrets. Strause had to take 2 just to play that Blood Crypt untapped.
And this is an enormous cost here. He's now, you know, his turn 2 wasn't very efficient at all. He just sat on the Mana Leak and nothing happened. Now on turn 3, he's again stunted his development a little bit and had to play a Ravnica dual land untapped to again leave up this Mana Leak. So Cavern of Souls here is going to be very problematic for Strause, not only because his Mana Leak doesn't work, but the lost tempo in trying to get this Mana Leak to trade with something.
A basic plans here from Musser is what he searches up with the Windswept Teeth. Now he'll activate the Displacer to blink out, but more importantly, tap the Delver of Secrets. Now Musser will untap.
Remember, deck lists are public when you get to the top 8. So Musser aware that Strause has 3 main deck copies of Mana Leak, and Strause clearly playing the Steam Vents untapped, or the Blood Crypt rather, making a big commitment to try to make this happen.
And the Cavern of Souls just does such a nice job of just blowing this up. Now, Musser's going to start things off in the Ancient Stirrings. And you can just see with the way Musser has played this game thus far, as there's the 5th card for Ancient Stirrings, so Eldrazi Displacer among those 5, that he is very purposely playing around Mana Leak.
And you can see, you know, Musser doesn't want to play the Cavern straight away. 1, because he's got the 3 mana up. And 2, if you show the Cavern first, he might Mana Leak the Ancient Stirrings just to try to swallow off your turn and get off the hook of keeping this Mana Leak up.
It's another attack here for 4. And now there's the Cavern, predictably naming Eldrazi.
Or maybe if you show the Cavern, he instead uses his turn casting a removal spell rather than leaving up the Mana Leak.
Now here's Snapcaster Mage, and he's just got to get that on the battlefield because Strause has to do something. Delver of Secrets is going to transform into Insectile Aberration. Thought Scour the reveal. Now it's in the hand there for Garrett Strause.
Another problematic part of the matchup here for Strause. His creatures just pound for pound aren't as good on the battlefield as Musser's. Now Strause has a lot of removal, and if he gets far enough ahead, he can the tricks he can manage with his creatures are quite potent. But if we're just talking about who attacks and blocks better, Musser's ahead by quite a bit.
Even Musser's lesser creatures, like Noble Hierarch and Eldrazi Sky Spawner, they provide some stuff.
Yeah.
Noble Hierarch will do a little bit of mana acceleration and fixing, which this deck could certainly use. The Exalted trigger is no joke. And then Sky Spawner, well, it's 2 bodies. And one of them flies to be able to trade with Delver of Secret / Insectile Aberration. So pretty important cards, and those are his, one could argue, his worst creatures. When we get to Drowner of Hope and Reality Smasher, that's where things get real ugly there for Garrett Strause.
His 1-for-1 answers for those kind of cards largely is Mana Leak. And that's off the table now for the rest of the game because of Cavern.
Looks like it might be a Path Exile there on the Insectile Aberration. Let's see what this is here for Strause. It'll be a Thought Scour. He'll target himself. So 1 and 2. Gurmag Angler, Spell Snare go to the graveyard. The mystery card goes to the hand. Now Path Exile is going to resolve. So Delver of Secrets is exiled. And land will be entering the battlefield here for Garrett in just a moment. We'll see which basic he goes with, and it'll be just a basic island. But you can see, and you mentioned it right at the top, how things are just not lining up here for Garrett correctly. Mana Leak he's had basically the entire game. And he has a Spell Snare in hand that I don't even know if it has anything to counter in the deck.
Explosives for 2. I mean, it's basically nothing. Blessed Alliance.
Yeah.
It's a short list.
Yeah, it's a pretty short list.
And
indeed.
he has 3 main deck Spell Snares.
Yeah. Here's a double block. You see all the work he has to go through just to get Displacer off the battlefield. The follow-up here is a Hallowed Fountain untapped. Now there's a Drowner. He'll cash in the Scion to be able to cast that. And when you know what your opponent is playing, and you have access to the deck list, Damnation, nah. Don't have to worry about anything like that.
2 main deck copies of Terminate, and you can assume you would have seen it by now if Strause were sitting on one.
So I like the plan there of getting the 5/5 along with the 2 Scions on the battlefield. And hey, even if he has a turn to take care of the 5/5, you still got some creatures left behind.
And because of the size of Strauss's creatures, Snapcaster Mage and Vendilion Click, these Scions are live threats. There aren't a whole lot of things on Strauss's side that lock them out.
Strauss going to fall down to 5 as he searches up a basic mountain. Here's Snapcaster Mage. Going to Thought Scour himself, draw a card. Picked up a copy of Terminate.
Okay.
That is a start. I don't know if it's going to be good enough, but it's at least a step in the right direction, and Strause is going to pass the turn back over to Musser.
And there's another Snapcaster Mage in hand to pair with it, too.
3 mana. Might be seeing him go to Displacer here.
Yeah, like the pre-combat Displacer here. It just forces Strauss's hand on some sort of response.
Oh, boy. We'll see if that's in. I know Musser has moved it forward. But yeah, now it is in, which means there is no good response. You see Musser says, attack with everything. Before damage, I will sacrifice a Scion to tap the Snapcaster Mage so it can't block. So now here comes the Terminate, but here comes the Displacer activation. So you see that Musser has sequenced things beautifully for himself.
Yep.
And that's going to take care of that. Damn, Musser's going to win game number 1 here against Garrett Strause. As Bantel Eldrazi up a game here over Grixis Delver. And game 1 looks like a nightmare here for Garrett Strause.
3 main deck copies of Mana Leak and 3 main deck copies of Spell Snare. Definitely not helping matters. The Fatal Pushes and Lightning Bolts are fine in the matchup, but there are a lot of spots where they're not the reaction that he needs.
Quick updates here for you before we go over the sideboards. We got Michael Majors up a game right now over Patrick Tilson. We have Richie Slids up a game with his Grixis control deck over Justin Cohen playing Death Shadow. And Nicholas Bird with Ad Nauseum. Very quickly up a game over John Sauer playing Bant Eldrazi. So, quick updates there for the matches. Now we take a look at the sideboards here. We start with Garrett Strause, who's got 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Counter Squall, 2 Engineer Explosives, 2 Fulminator Mage, 2 Painful Truths, and here are the one-ofs. Crumble to Dust, Dispel, Is It Static Caster, Surgical Extraction, and Vandal Blast.
This is really bad. Strause has not a whole lot to bring in here. he has, in my mind, 6 cards he has to get out of the deck here in the 3 Spell Snares and the 3 Mana Leaks. Maybe Mana Leak is above the board, but Spell Snares definitely not. And I don't even know what he's really supposed to bring in here. I mean, I guess you could go to, I guess, Fulminator Mage and Painful Truths strike me as the most...
They can't see my
generically,
face. They can't see my face.
Yeah, I
don't like it.
You had the biting into a lemon face that I did too. Like I had the same one looking at the sideboard. There just isn't a whole lot for him to go to here. No. I think he's got to get the Spell Snares out of the deck. That just has to happen. They're essentially dead cards here. The Mana Leaks, I think that I would rather have Fulminator Mage or Painful Truth than the 3rd Mana Leak. I guess that's my approach. This is really rough.
Here's the thing. The longer it goes for Garrett Strause, the worse it gets.
Yep.
I think any long game that we play is just really bad news for him because his build of Grixis Delver is kind of built around counter magic. Yeah. And that doesn't work here.
Right. I mean, you had to, I guess he has to lean on the removal plus Snapcaster Mage plan to do that, but he's only got 2 copies of Terminate, and a lot of his other removal spells don't always line up the right way. But these counter spells, to me, are below the board, and even if Fulminator and Painful Truths aren't great, I think they are better than those cards.
Well, we're going to see what he can do to kind of turn things around for Musser. He's in a very good spot, and he's got some good options, too. 3 Stony Silence, 2 more copies of Blessed Alliance, 2 Raptor's Cage, 2 Negate, 2 Rest in Peace, and a Thragtusk, a Disdainful Stroke, an Elspeth Sun's Champion, and a Natural State.
I like the 2 copies of Rest in Peace in this matchup. You know, Strause either has to have his Delve threats or Snapcaster Mage going, I think, to have much of a game plan here. So I'm happy to cut off the graveyard. You could talk me into Thragtusk and Elspeth also if you think the game's going to drag long enough, but maybe just the 2 Rest in Pieces.
Those are the options there for both players, and Garrett Strause will be on the play here for game number 2 as they take a look at each other's deck lists. Of course, they are public during our elimination round, so they'll make sure they're working with as good of information as they possibly can. In the meantime, for the final time here this weekend, we'll talk about the StarCityGames.com weekly sale. You got a little time left to get up to 50% off your standard singles.
Yeah, but this sale ends tomorrow, Monday at 10:59 a.m. Eastern Time, so you're running out of time to go to the website and check out what the sale is, what is on sale. Every week there's a new sale, so make sure to check back to the website at least once a week to see what the new sale is. Right now, for a little while longer at least, 50% off select standard singles.
New sale tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you check it out, StarCityGames.com, as we get ready here for game number 2. Quick updates again for you if you're just joining us. First of all, hello, welcome to the quarterfinals here in Indianapolis. We got Dan Musser up a game here, Bant Eldrazi up a game over Garrett Strause playing Grixis Delver. You got Nicholas Bird playing Ad Nauseam up a game right now over John Sauer playing Bant Eldrazi. Richie Sleds with his Grixis control deck up a game over Justin Cohen playing Death Shadow. And Michael Majors, number 2 overall seed with Death Shadow, up a game here over Patrick Tilson playing Obzon Cards. Did I get it right?
Obzon Cards.
Obzon Cards, there you go. If you're looking for more up-to-the-minute updates, we got Nick Miller down in the Future Match area at SCG Tours. What you're going to want to follow as Nick is doing live updates here for you. Make sure you know exactly what's going on, who you're rooting for, what decks you are rooting for.
And then in Obzon Cards, there's 2 subsets of the archetype. There is Obzon Cards, and then there is Obzon Cards I Own, which is when you're building on a budget or otherwise don't own particular cards.
We're going to have you write us a primer.
So are you Obzon? What are you on this weekend? Obzon Cards or Obzon Cards I Own?
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of both.
I didn't have the Grimflater, so I played Voice of Resurgent instead.
Oh, this again.
That's an Obzon
We've come full circle.
Obzon Cards I Own strategy.
Dan Musser, a player we're going to take a moment to learn a little bit more about. He's playing Bant Eldrazi cards he owns.
Right.
I think. I'm unclear on how to name these things. 31 years old, is the Akron, Ohio native. 8 open top 8s with a W in Legacy many moons ago at the back end of an invitational, back when we used to do some really lengthy opens on day 2 and day 3. He's got a master's degree in applied mathematics, claims that Pikachu is a spirit animal, and he is a very large fan of Taylor Swift, but really, who isn't?
Claims is a really weird word to use to describe autobiographical information. Like, it's kind of self-evident that he claims it because it's information about himself that he gave.
You're going to take it up with him.
Right, it's just weird copy, whatever. That's fine. It's not. Don't let me get hung up on that.
That's the must man.
So
right
my
there.
first tournament that I won, my first big tournament back in the big by my standards, the only game in town, Hillsborough, New Jersey, 1998 or 99.
Okay.
Mercadian Mask had just come out, and I won $25 in store credit.
Oh baby!
With that $25 in store credit,
okay,
I had 2 options that looked appealing to me at the time.
Okay.
One was a giant stuffed Pikachu. The other, a foil Rishadan-Port. So I tanked on this.
Worthy of tanking over.
Came out with the Pikachu.
good play.
A couple weeks later, the port was $75 in the case.
A little more
whatever
expensive than 25.
Now, I don't know. It's $1 million.
What do you think a foil port's worth nowadays?
5, 6, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So I've kept the Pikachu with me as a reminder of intellectual humility. Think about things, because you make mistakes all the time.
Depends on what your definition of a mistake is.
This is going to be painful. You're over at the Star City game. Is it on sale right now?
I'm looking how much it is right now. Just I want to get a good. I want to really make it hurt. Foil?
Foil, Mercadian Mask for Schadenport.
What was the condition?
Out of a pack.
Let's go near mint. That's just $5.99.
Okay.
That's okay. How much? Well, but more importantly, let me see how much the Pikachu is on Star City.
Well, you also have to factor the psychic value of having the Pikachu. That's one thing. You also have to factor in what I would have done at age 17 or 18 with an extra $100.
Okay.
It probably would have been something destructive. So I may have prevented myself from, but it was a mistake.
I checked for Pikachu. It says, we're sorry, there are no results with the name Pikachu in it.
Okay.
So.
Well, we'll never know.
I can't find the price of it.
Could very easily retail north of $600.
Like you said, we'll just never know.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do. Plus, you know what? I can appreciate you didn't really want to tap anyone's land in their upkeep.
No, I owned 4 Rashad Ports. I was the first one in my store to do that.
I take that back then.
I paired it with the following cards in my first very dominant FNM deck. Okay. Stone Rain, Pillage, Avalanche Riders, Smokestack, Tectonic Break,
nice.
Dust Bowl. I forgot what the win conditions were. It might have just been Gitu Encampment and Avalanche Rider.
I hope you were trying to win with Seismic Mage. One of my favorites.
No, I didn't have Seismic Mage. I should have, maybe.
One of my favorites.
The thing is, Spell Shapers are not that powerful when your whole deck is just that spell anyway.
That's true.
Like
That's true.
Discard my, Stone Rain to Seismic Mage you. It's sort of whatever.
Sometimes you just draw a land, man.
Yeah, that's true. But then you convert that into the Dust Bowl.
Oh, sure.
So you kind of have it covered. Your lands and spells are all Stone Rain, so you don't really need the Seismic Mage.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. We see Garrett Strause starting off here with a Watery Grave into a Serum Visions. For Musser, he's got a Windswept Teeth. And now here's a Delver of Secrets. This is more in line with what Garrett needs to do. He needs to get a Delver going, and then he's got to do a little bit of a fish style that we see in Legacy with Teamer Delver and Grixis Delver and Saltai Delver over there. Get that thing out there, get it transformed, and get the beatdowns going.
Mercadian Mask was very good for me for foils that I was interested in owning at the time between Rashad Port, Dust Bowl, and Stone Rain.
The Stone Rain from Mercadian Mask got a good picture, too. I like that picture.
I'm trying to think what my preferred Stone Rain was. There's a lot of really sketchy Stone Rain art.
When you say sketchy, in this instance, it's just not good.
Like the Ice Age one's pretty rough.
Okay.
I think the Tempest one was my preferred. I can't recall.
See, the nice thing about Magic is right now, as Musser takes his second turn of the game, he searched up a Hallowed Fountain, plays an Eldrazi Temple. He's got an Eldrazi Scion. That's joined, oh boy, that is joined by Eldrazi Sky Spawner. What is that thing?
I'm not totally sure.
The nice thing about Magic, it's spell focused right now. Or excuse me, it's creature focused right now. But we could just, if that gets a little stale, we could just do the 180. We can go back to spells.
We had two copies of Green Red LD in day 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 4 Alpha Stone Rains ready to go if that deck's ever a reasonable choice for a modern tournament.
Make the creatures bad, make the spells busted again. Hello.
You know who the guy was in the background of that art piece?
Who's that?
All my opponents. Just getting rained all over.
Here's a block from Eldrazi Sky Spawner. We're going to see Garrett Strause sacrifice a fetch land. Just getting destroyed, huh?
Well, this hand here from Strause has got some tools. I mean, the Delver of Secrets for Sky Spawner trade is a little bit painful, but he has Tassicker plus Terminate, which is a good mixture of cards for the matchup. He's got to brawl a little bit. He's got to speed the game up. The long game definitely does not favor him.
It's horrible for him.
And Tassicker plus Terminate for your one big threat, you could talk yourself into that being a winning recipe. I would not terminate the Scion.
I'm inclined to
I keep my powder dry on that.
No, ooh, no.
Whoa. Okay, so we're just Tassickering.
That is 5th card.
Yeah, but he's got a Snapcaster in his hand. I kind of want to terminate twice. Had to terminate Burden to hold in his pocket.
That is aggressive.
You know, I appreciate the sentiment. This is not where I would want to go.
He doesn't have a Snapcaster Mage anymore.
All right, that's game.
Yeah.
You're not, because Musser's got the Drowner next turn.
That's a little aggressive for me.
I like the spirit. I like the fighting spirit, but I would have played that a little bit more conservatively, I think. I probably would have just cast Tassiger and left the Serum Vision in the graveyard. I think would have been my line. But you know what? You can't take it with you.
That's true.
And now the whole line has unfolded in front of Musser.
Yeah. That's
Now
going on. I understand.
Now he can work his way backwards.
He even has a path. Oh dear. Oh
okay,
no.
this is pretty bad.
cut the tape. Cut the tape. This is getting ugly.
Well, you know, you're only 2 lands and/or spells away from casting the other Tassiger. Mm-hmm. It's a bad spot.
It's already a really good matchup for Dan, and Garrett he took a risk. He took a risk. Basic island here. Yikes. Well, you know what?
Listen,
the Cubs won the World Series.
You know what?
There is that. There is that. They did. They beat the Indians. Came back from 3-1. Fulminator Mage, a little late.
That's okay. That's both. He has a land now. Fulminator Mage. That's a card in the graveyard.
Okay.
I assume.
Yeah, it will be in the graveyard. Yes.
And then you got the other Tassiger ready to go. And then the top of your deck, hopefully, is extremely cooperative.
I would kill the Hallowed Fountain. Look, you got to get lucky anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not letting Musser go to his turn.
Well, that's definitely true. I'm not trying to block a Fulminator Mage.
Right.
I got to kill a land now.
Cutting off the Hallowed Fountain gives you the most lucky potential here.
Yeah. He's going to kill the Temple. I know that Temple looks like the better land generally. I think that we are in full get lucky mode.
Right, exactly.
So if we got to get lucky, let's get lucky. Here's an attack for 4. Here's a forest. Actually, it's going to be a brush land. And an Eldrazi Sky Spawner. Pass turn back over to Garrett Strause. Garrett will draw. I think it's a Thought Scour?
Dope.
All right.
That's some help for Tassiger.
Vendilion Click and a land are going to go to the graveyard, draw a card. Lightning Bolt.
That checks the flyer. You got the ground locked up.
All right, you're turning it around, aren't you? You're back on board. He's back in, folks.
It's back in.
There goes the bin. We don't have to remove everything. I guess there's nothing else good down there.
Right, and you kind of want Tassiger to have the choice bits.
I also suppose you don't really want to get a Fulminator Mage back.
Right, not at this point.
Not doing a lot this game. Surfs up, everybody. Richie Sleds 2-0 over Justin Cohen. Grixis Control.
On to the semis.
Making it look easy. Drowner of Hope in there.
Yep. Musser, certainly momentarily concerned about the potential of mana leak, but with no caverns, just got to cast it. And because of the way that Strause has left his hand up there with the 2 mana when he didn't have to, you got to be a little bit concerned, but Strause has already demonstrated a fairly wide range when it comes to what he's willing to do and represent, so I would ignore it.
Yep.
Just cast your thing.
Thought Musser got to get in there as Tassiger was tapped by a Scion. What do we have now? All right. Activate Tassiger. Fatal Push. Painful Truth.
You got Painful Truths.
Yep. You are correct. You are correct. Drowner is pretty. Oh, I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. If you're going to go out, you go out on your own. You go out on your own. You get in there.
Yep.
You got a Painful Truth and X in your hand. X cannot possibly be good.
And he punched it through.
Yep. He got the 4 through. There you go. One could argue Garrett Strause won this match.
Right.
Get that damage through.
Terminated a Scion on turn 3. Chump attacked on the final turn.
Yep.
He can go out with his head held high.
That's going to do it. Dan Musser going to win this match here over Garrett Strause, 2-0. Mantel Drazi just destroyed Grixis Delver because I don't think Grixis Delver in this build can ever beat that deck.
It is a challenge, and I think it requires a little bit more patience and discipline than Strause showed, particularly in the second game.
The counter spells are garbage.
He's in a deep hole game number 1. He's got the 3 spell snares that essentially have no targets, and he's got the 3 copies of Mana Leak that aren't good even under the best of circumstances, and with Cavern of Souls, much